ever walked into a room and thought, I do not fit in here? I'm feeling that way right now. Too American for the British, too British for the Americans. As humans, we have this almost visceral need to belong, this craving to feel safe and included in our in-group of humans. No one gets through life without feeling like an outsider. But instead of allowing these natural feelings of exclusion and rejection to stop us, what if we turn them into an opportunity to make a real difference in the world? You may or may not have heard about this DEI stuff. In simple terms, DEI stands for diversity, equity, and inclusion. It was meant to be a good thing. But the way some people talk about it right now, you might think it's the worst thing ever. The problem is, we've gotten DEI backwards. It should actually be IED. And I don't mean the thing that goes boom. Although the current DEI conversation certainly seems explosive, the problem with our almost obsession with diversity is that it's just the bean counting of difference. How many of these types of people do we have? How many of those types of people do we have? But it's not the thing that's going to make a real difference. That's why we need to focus on inclusion. Because if we focus on inclusion, equity and diversity will come. I mean, who doesn't want to live in a fairer world with real opportunity for all? If, like me, you care about DEI, you might be really worried right now. Laws are being rolled back. 1 in 8 US companies eliminated or reduced DEI programs in 2024, with more cuts coming. 56% of hiring managers say DEI, just for PR, not real change. DEI roles are disappearing, teams shrinking, and woke is being used as a political weapon on both sides of the Atlantic. Pretty bleak, isn't it? But in the next 10 minutes, I'll show you how you can keep DEI moving forward. Let's take a tour of history. For centuries, people have dominated one another. Think alpha males, Genghis Khan, silverback gorillas. The dominated rise and become the new dominators. Cycles like these have always existed. Imbalances, unfairness, in-group power dynamics. But set aside history for a moment and consider your own family story. Was there a time when you or your relatives were less powerful or excluded from the dominant group? How did that shape your life and your feelings of self-worth and belonging? Most of us can relate to being on the losing side at some point. We suppress those memories, try to rise above them, but how often do we consider that we might have become part of the dominant group? Sometimes without even noticing. Sit with that discomfort. We'll return to it. History shows that DEI progress and backlash are cyclical. In the 18th century, abolition and women's rights movements began. But by the 19th century, slavery, patriarchy, and exclusion fought back hard. In the late 19th century, slavery was abolished and some suffrage gained. Yet apartheid and segregation laws, racial violence, and misogyny took root. In the 20th century, white women, and later black women, won the vote, and black institutions grew. But discrimination and segregation kept progress slow. The 1960s and 70s saw landmark civil rights laws enacted, but were also met with fierce resistance and rollbacks. It can feel like a yo-yo. Progress, then regression, but overall, we move forward. So where are we in the current DEI cycle? And why does it feel like we're going backwards right now? According to social scientists like Patiram Sorokin and Oswald Spengler, they noticed that history moves in waves. Periods of progress, then pushback. Every big step towards equality triggers a resistance from the people and structures defending the status quo. After the financial crisis of 2008, our world entered a new era. Institutions weakened, political divides grew, and society polarized. Movements like Me Too and Black Lives Matter rose to prominence, but were also met with fierce backlash and resistance. It can feel like the pendulum keeps swinging back. But cycles like these are normal. They're how societies adapt and eventually grow stronger. It's tough to hear, but things might get worse before they get better. Backlash is simply a natural part of social change. It can come from oppressed groups pushing back against their oppression, or from those resisting change. Most of us can relate to being oppressed or excluded from the dominant group. We like to think of ourselves as the good ones. We're on the right side of history. But if we're being honest, are we sometimes the ones holding privilege and power over others? I wonder if you see that in yourself. I know I do. As a woman, I face discrimination. Yet as a white person, I hold privilege and power over others, even if I never intended it. That's how society works. It shapes us. And just because you're advocating for DEI doesn't make you immune. We all have unconscious bias without realizing it. I used to think that I was one of the good DEI champions until 15 years ago, I changed careers. After over a decade of working on Wall Street, I joined a fast-growing restaurant group. It felt like a promotion and a chance to be myself, ditch the power suits, and make a real difference. Shortly after I joined the company, my boss who hired me left. His replacement, let's call him Aiden, was tough, proud of being a rough and tumble type, and from the wrong side of Dublin. He was a bully, and he told us so. As I had the unpleasant task of making Aiden successful in his new role, I did what any other self-respecting human resource professional would do. I did exactly what Aiden told me to do. Aiden gave me a list of problem people he wanted gone from the business. So I worked my way through the list, and one by one, I fired close to 20 people. Months later, I was looking around the senior leadership table, and I realized only one woman was left. Me. Without noticing, I had fired all of the other senior women. If I can do that unconsciously to other women, what might I be doing or ignoring with people who are trans, non-binary, gay, neurodiverse, people of color, or disabled? We are all part of the problem, but we are all also part of the solution. We all have unconscious bias that's stopping DEI progress. So what do? Especially if you care about fairness and inclusion. First of all, do not give up. Be in action. Second of all, observe, monitor, and make sure your unconscious bias does not stop you from being in action. If you experience unfairness, use it as an opportunity to help someone else out. Share what you've learned about unconscious bias and privilege with friends, family, colleagues. Conversations add up. Support those you've helped and help them support others. Communities grow resilient when people look out for one another. You don't need permission or a special title. You just need to start. And finally, remember this. You do not have to win over 100% of people to the DEI cause, or even half. According to researchers at Harvard, it only takes mobilizing just 3.5% of people to bring about lasting change. That's all. So let's do this DEI thing together.